YouTube, it's Mike here. Just out here pulling out my beans that have gone to seed for the year. This is a patch I've shown videos of before. If you look around my channel, it's basically just a few purple beans and a few green beans that I planted. The story is basically fairly quick. The purple beans have only been I think this is their second year being grown on my property, and the green beans that were down there have been grown on my property for some of them probably the full 7 years I've been here, and others pretty close to that, maybe 5 or 6. I do add the odd new packet of seed in here and there, but less and less all the time. I'm especially with beans, because they're not a big cross-pollinator. I don't worry about adding in a new genetic too much, because I know it only makes so much of a difference. They will pollinate themselves quite readily. So that being said, they don't really, to cross-pollinate them isn't a big thing. And there's the historical thing that I think I've mentioned in other videos, where beans grown on the same piece of land in succession, it's as if the seeds accommodate the soil, and so there's a little better germination, a little better vigor overall. So that's the theory on that. One of the things when I'm cutting my beans here in the fall, I'm going to leave the roots in. Down in here, there's a bunch of little shoot, now I'm going to forget all my agricultural courses. Little balls on the roots, basically nodes, and there's a bacterial relationship with the bean, and they pull nitrogen out of the air for the bean plant, and so that affixes the nitrogen into the root system. So by leaving the root system here to rot away over the winter, the idea there is that if there's any excess nitrogen hanging around, it's going to stay in the ground for next year's crop, whatever it happens to be, or even if it's just because these wood chips, if they get mixed in to decompose, they actually will use up some nitrogen initially, until they get to a certain point where they start to actually kind of produce more as far as compost and the nitrogen content. This is a purple bean stem. You'll see there's some green, but there's really nothing major. There's maybe a little growing point just above my thumb there, but nothing overly amazing. When I come over here to my green beans, you can see they're actively trying to grow still down below. Kind of an interesting little thing. I mean, they're green as green can be. They're ready to go. So that's kind of cool. There's little shoots trying to take off there. They were all just below the wood chips, and I've pulled them back a bit, and sure enough, those little dirt bags are still trying to grow, and the purples I've pretty well given up. The other little note I wanted to make about the green and purple bean difference here, and I'm hoping it's not really a bad thing, but I've been noticing it's gotten a little later than I was planning. I know I showed a video where I pulled a couple of seed pods off and whatever, and I knew they were a little bit damp still then. But shortly after that, I should have been pulling seeds, and time's gotten away on me a little bit, and it's just interesting. Like that's a green bean pod, and they're relatively hard to find. And from what I can tell, something's actually been taking them away and eating them. And that's no good if you're trying to collect seed. But what's got my curiosity up is why, if you look in these purple beans, seems to be lots of pods and nobody's been messing with them. And I know sometimes if you watch, like, it's one of the arguments for, say, not using BT corn, that corn that's got the insecticide right in it. If you plant it close to, like, say, non-GMO corn, close to a bush, you'll notice, or a lot of guys have noticed, that the deer don't touch the modified corn, the stuff that's got the BT toxins. They'll only eat the non-GMO stuff. And so then I see this with my beans, and I'm hoping it's just a preference, and not like my purple beans have some sort of a toxic thing. I'm not a huge advocate of like organic seed, but now that I see this, and if I make sure I watch this video again in the spring here when I go to plant, or if I'm out looking for seeds, I'm half tempted to look for a purple bean seed that's specified organic, just to see if there is maybe a small difference. It would surprise me for garden vegetables, and it's not like the seeds had anything coated on them here this year, because these are not store-bought seeds. These are saved seeds from other years, and it's just something I've noticed this year. I don't think I've noticed it other years, or maybe I just wasn't paying attention, or I got to them a bit sooner. So if you got any ideas on that, I'd be curious. Let me know in the comments. And yeah, that's bean seed collecting. Not many green beans, lots of purple beans, and should be plenty for planting because I have some left. I always save year over year. I keep back, you know, I try not to plant more than about half my seeds, or maybe a bit more. If I have lots and lots of seed, I'll give a bunch away, and or I'll cook them up and use them for soups or something. So that's that. Yeah, curious if you've ever noticed anything, if you do save seeds, about certain varieties going missing. Okay, ciao.